Now we will discuss the notion of continuity of a function f. Suppose that a function f is given, and if it is defined on an open interval containing a. Now, if the limit of the function f of x as x is nearing towards a exists, and that quantity is going to be same as the f evaluation at a, then we say that the function f is continuous at the point a. So, to get the continuity of a function at a, f of a should be defined first. It should be in the domain, certainly. And towards that point, as x is nearing, it is approaching towards a, the limit should exist there. And finally, this limit is same as that of with f of a. These three conditions together will allow us to say that f is continuous at a point a. So formal definition is like that. What you have to remember about f is continuous at a point a is nothing other than that limit should exist as x is nearing towards a. Functional evaluation you have to evaluate, and they should be equal. If this condition is satisfied at a particular point a, we say that a function is continuous at a. Now, if it's a local property, at each point you can say about continuity of the function, the behavior of the function. So limit of f of x as x is nearing towards a exists, and it is coinciding with f at a. That is what our condition is. Let us mark this as star. So once this star is missing at some point, you have to say that the function is discontinuous at that point. It is having a discontinuity at that. So just we can try to understand what exactly is the meaning of this by taking a graphical model of a function. So suppose I am looking at a function f of x given by this curve. Now some particular points you are interested to check the behavior of the function. Basically continuity. You have to discuss whether it is continuous, whether it is discontinuous, and all such things. So let me take first what happens at 0. At x equals 0, the evaluation is 1. What about the limit? If you are approaching from right, your curve will go along this direction. If you are approaching from left, the curve will come down like this. So it merges with 1. So from the graph, limit of our function as x is nearing towards 0 exists, and it is going to be 1. But this function is having the same value. F at 0 is going to be the same evaluation as 1 as x is nearing towards 0. So we will say that f is continuous at the point 0. Now, what happens at 1? If you are at 1, look at what happens here. Towards 1, you have to move first. That is, x is nearing towards 1. What happens for the function? So either from left or from right, whenever you are merging, this is the evaluation, and you are going to get the limit as 1. So the limit exists, and it is going to be 1 here. Then what you have to check is what happens for the f value at 1. But f value at 1 is not defined. So just because of that, it is not going to be continuous at 1. So the function is not continuous at 1 because it is not defined at 1. Let us look at another point, 2. What happens on that? So if you wanted to look at what happens at 2, you try to approach towards 2, that is from left and right. Then the curve is moving along this, and you are getting the limit as 2. So limit of our function as x is nearing 2 exists, that is going to be 2. Now look at functional evaluation at 2. but that is given to be here. It means 1 at 1. That is given as 1. So this fellow is going to be 1. But these are not equal. So limit exists and it is 2. Functional value is there up to, but that is 1. They are differing. So it's once again not going to be continuous. It is not continuous at, the function is not continuous at 2. That is what. See, the discontinuity occurs at 1 as well as at 2. 1 it is discontinuous because it is not defined there. At 2 it is discontinuous because the evaluation, whatever be the value at f of 2, is differing from the limit. That is why it's not having continuity at 2. So they are differing in nature. Okay, so what happens at 3? As we have discussed at 0, go nearer to 3 from left and right and you will merge with 0. That is the evaluation also for the function. So at 3, it's again going to be continuous. The function is going to be continuous. So at 0 as well as at 3, it is continuous. 2 more points, we can check it. What happens at 4 and 5? At the point 4, here, you try to approach towards 4 from left as well as right. What happens for the limit? Is the limit exists? That is, you are checking limit of our function as x is nearing towards 4. From left, if you are approaching, this way it goes and it merges with 2. From the right, if you are coming down like this, it merges with value 1, which says that the limit does not exist because these are differing, right? So this does not exist. The limit of f of s as x tends to 4 does not exist, right? F value is there. F at 4 is there. That is given to be 2. But there is no use. 4 is in the domain. F of 4 is given that, but limit does not exist. So in that way also we are missing continuity. So function is not continuous at 4 because of this. Limit does not exist. Let us look at fifth one, or the point 1. The point 5, the last one. So what happens for a function whenever you are nearing 5? Go nearer to 5, either from left or from right. What happens is it just blows up. No limit exists. In fact, it is blowing like anything. The function, without any control, it goes on. So in infinite level, it jumps, it goes on and that. So the limit, again, f of s as x tends to 5 does not exist, right? More than that, evaluation is also not there. This is also not there. Limit is also not there. But the limit, it's slightly different from what happens the missing case of limit at 4. So there are from this example, at 0 and 3 you are getting continuity. 1, 2, 4 and 5 you are missing continuity, but 1 and 2 are comparably with log heavity. Which I mean is, see, if you are looking at or trying to discuss about the discontinuity at 1, what's happening at 1? Functional evaluation is not given, but limit is there. Limit is given to be limit of f of x as x is nearing to 1 is 1, but f of 1 is not there. But if you are redefining the function f at 1, if you are redefining as 1, see, for example, we define it f at 1, make it as 1. If you are ready to redefine this function is going to be continuous at 1. So that discontinuity at 1 can be removed by redefining. Just give evaluation there. In the second, whenever you are looking at the characteristic of the function at 2, what we can see? See, here also something can be observed. Limit of function as x is nearing 2 exists and it is 2. But functional evaluation is 2. That is, f of 2 is not 2. It is actually equal to 1. They are differing. That is the problem. So what will you do? So in this case, if you are again redefining the function f value at 2 instead of 1, you just make it as 2. You make f of 2 is 2. Once you are making f of 2 is 2, it merges with the limit, which gives you the continuity at 2. So whenever discontinuity occurs like this nature is different. I mean, this at 1 and 2, both the discontinuity occurred, but this discontinuities can be removed. We will say that it's a removable discontinuities. Both these cases, removable discontinuities. You can change, you can just remove that discontinuity by properly defining or redefining the function. That's all. But on the other hand, if you are looking at 4 and 5, at the point 4 and 5, they are not behaving like discontinuities at 1 and 2. At 4, limit does not exist. See, look at the limit from whenever you are approaching or trying to find out the limit from left and right, they are differing actually. Evaluation is there still, but you can't do anything. You can, it's not repairable in some sense. It cannot be removed. The discontinuity cannot be removed. They are differing, right? Left limit as well as right limit, they are differing. Even though that value is anywhere, if you are giving instead of here, you can give anywhere, no use. By redefining, you can't come out from the discontinuity, so it cannot be removed. It's not a removable discontinuity. In fact, this observed that you are making a jump actually. So this is usually called as a jump discontinuity. This kind of discontinuities are called as jump discontinuity. If you are looking at the last point, what you are considering, that is at the point 5, limit does not exist. Functional evaluation is also not there. They are just blasting off. So limit in infinite level it goes. You can't give an evaluation also. Just defining any evaluation. See, for 5, if you are at 5, if you are defining somewhere here or somewhere here, there is no use in it. Indefinitely it goes on, the blows up like that. So you can't make the function continuous by redefining it. That is another kind of. So we will say that the discontinuity is of infinite type. Discontinuity category, you will mark it like that. We will just simply say that infinite discontinuity. So at 4 we are having jump discontinuity. At 5 we are having infinite discontinuity. But 1 and 2 are removable discontinuities. So this kind of categorization, it's better to keep it in our mind. See, one can even consider some examples too, if you are looking at. See, a familiar function, we will try it up. Let us look at the following example, which is very familiar for us. See, f of x, suppose I am writing it as x squared minus 9 divided by x minus 3. That is obviously defined, this rule is defined for x not equal to 3. And if I am making f of x equals 1, if x is at 3. If x is given to be 3, I am just giving f at 3 as 1. What about the nature of the function whenever you are nearing towards 3? And what about the continuity behavior there? If you are just looking at, see, limit of our function as x nearing towards 3 is going to be, obviously we will use x plus 3, x minus 3 factorization and cancelling out the factor x minus 3 by assuming with the assumption that x is not equal to 3. So this takes us for the limit as 6. So limit exists as, and it is going to be 6. So at x equals 3, if you are defining it, by definition it is 1. So it is discontinuous, right? So if you are ready to change this value to 6, you will get continuity there, right? So such things we can talk of. Even if you are not given the value at x equals 3, you can make it continuous by defining f at 3 as 6. Now, this is the way how to understand various functions and all. Let us look at some more examples. Before doing that, see, we have just observed one nature from here. At 4, whenever you are looking at, it was inside the domain. You can approach to 4 from either from left and right. But what happened in the previous example was, whenever you are nearing to 4 from left, the limit is going to be somewhere here, that is 2. And whenever you are approaching from here, the right side, you are getting the limit as 1. Actually, the right limit is differing from the left limit. That's why limit does not exist there. But how will you define this right and left things? See, for example, if you are working in a see some point, see, the situation is something like that. So from left, if you are thinking, whenever you are approaching towards 4, you have some way some continuous concept is coming, because as you are approaching towards 4 from the left, it mingles with the evaluation. So you have to say that from the left it is going to be continuous. So we say that it is left continuous at that point. So in general, if you wish, we can define like that. So look at the graph. The first graph, if you want to look at the point A, look at the graph. So this comes as x is nearing towards A from the right. This is the way it comes out and merges here. This is the evaluation. So this evaluation mingles with the limit, which says that f is continuous from the right. But if you are coming from the left, this way it comes out, it is differing from the value. Value is supposed to be this darkened one. So it is not, in the first graph, is not going to be continuous from the left at A, but it is continuous from the right at A. So formally we can define that. You look at the notations, limit of f of x as x is nearing towards A from the right, that is A plus, right limit, is merging with the evaluation at A. That is what f is continuous from the right. Naturally, continuity from the left, that is f continuous from the left at A also can be defined. That is, the second graph will give the answer. If you are nearing towards A from the left, you will merge with this evaluation. It says that the function is continuous from the left at A. But you will miss it here. If you are coming from right towards A, you will be having a different limit than this evaluation. So it is going to be continuous. F is going to be continuous from left at A, not at. So notationally, limit of f of x as x is nearing A minus, that is from the left, it exists. It is merging with the f evaluation at A. So that is, so you can just split it up. Continuity from left, that is continuity from the right, as well as both these things are there. So whenever our point, the first examples wherever we are introduced, our point A, whenever we are discussing throughout that discussion, it was an interior point. We formally say that it is interior point because it is an open interval. It is defined from either from left or from right. You can approach towards it. But there are obvious things whenever the function is at the endpoint. See, for example, in a closed interval, if you are working out, see, this is what I mean. Suppose we have a function, and if it is defined somewhere like A to B, and if you are looking at your function may be somewhere here, like that. So this function, if you want to discuss the continuity at B, how will you say that? So go nearer to B means you have only one option. You can go from left only. The right endpoint is B. The domain is the closed bounded interval A. So whenever you are approaching towards B, only one way you can approach. You can't approach from outside. So the domain is only this. So only from the right. Sorry, only from the left. So in this discussion, you have to look for limit of our function as x is nearing towards B, that is from left. In this case, f evaluation is merging with that. You have to say that it is continuous. Similarly, the function, once again, at A, the left hand point, if you want to discuss this continuity, only way of approaching is from the right. So you have to consider limit of your function as x is nearing towards A, but only from the right. Right values only you can approach. So in that case, if it merges with the f evaluation at a, this is same as that of f of a, you have to say that it is continuous. So not only in the open interval the function is defined, open interval at some interim point it is can be defined. Even a function defined at a closed bounded interval also can be defined. The continuity can be discussed at the endpoints via this part. Maybe you can have another option. The function may be defined from somewhere like 2 to 5. So 2 comma 5, the interval like this. 2, if you want to discuss the discontinuity, you have to come from the right. To discuss about the continuity at 5, you have to approach from the left and look for the appropriate evaluations. So such things in general one can write it as the following way. These are all the things what we have defined. In the open interval AB, if our point is somewhere here and if you are approaching there from right and left, both sides it should be same and that should be mingling with the evaluation. On the other hand, if it is in a closed interval AB, then what to discuss about the continuity in the throughout AB, you have to check AB first, the open interval AB as before. Everywhere it should be continuous. Then we say that it is continuous throughout. And at A and at B, you have to look for A, right continuity whether exists, as well as at B, you have to look for left continuity at B. Even open type or half open type also similarly can be defined. So this is the whole definition which will be helpful for you. Now, with these tools, we can just try some more examples. Let us come back to the one example we have done. This was a familiar example for us. In fact, y equals positive square root of 4 minus x square. This is a semicircle. It's a positive square root only taken. As we have discussed long back, x square plus y square equals 4. From there, this graph is coming out. The upper side only is going to come. Now, if y, this is the given function here. The graph is clear here. Now, we can just discuss some points. See, for example, at 0. So, domain is actually minus 2 to plus 2. So, at each point, you are getting the evaluation here, right? So, at 0, if you want to discuss about the function's continuity, go nearer to 0 from right as well as left, then you will go along this way. And what we can observe that is limiting value is going to be 2. Functional evaluation at 0 is also positive square root of 4, which is going to be 2, right? You go from right or left, through this way the graph comes and 2 is the value. The limit is going to be. So limit of f of x as x is nearing 0 exists and it is going to be 2. That is obviously given from the functional evaluation f at 0 also, because f at 0 is square root of 4 minus 0, positive square root. So it mingles in that. So f is continuous at the point 0. The same thing will happen any point from minus 2 to plus 2 in the open interval. Any point anywhere you take the same argument, you can give it. Now, if you want to discuss the continuity at the endpoints, because the function is defined minus 2 as well as plus 2. So, to discuss that, at the point minus 2, for example, first you have to look at f of the limit of this function as x is nearing minus 2. See, minus 2 if you are moving towards, it is a left hand point. It is a left hand point means you have to come from the right. This is the only way you can go, right? So, x is nearing towards minus 2 means this is the usual way. From the positive right side only you can move towards that because it is a left hand point. So what about this fellow? This fellow, if you want to evaluate the limit, how it behaves as x is nearing towards minus 2, you will use plus to denote that it is coming from write square root of, our rule is 4 minus x square, right? So limit of this fellow, limit of this root function, that is one-sided limit, or it comes inside. So square root of limit of x nearing towards minus 2, but from the right, and of what? Of 4 minus x square. So obviously this is going to be 0, right? 4 minus x square, s going towards minus 2, plus that is 4 minus 4, it goes to be 0. But this is exactly same f. Look at that f at minus 2. F at minus 2, you give it here, you will give it 0 only. So this evaluation at minus 2 will give again the same answer, which says that the function is continuous at the left hand point minus 2 also. Now, one more endpoint is the right endpoint. So if you want to discuss the right endpoint and look at the discontinuity there, or continuity or discontinuity there, how will you check that? Again, one-sided way you have to look at 2, you can approach from the left only because it is the right endpoint in the domain. So we have to look for limit of our function as x is nearing towards 2 plus 2 here. But that 2 can be approachable from the left. So to understand that, you will write like this. Once again, what happens? The limit of x nearing to 2 from the left of square root of the same fellow 4 minus x square come inside, and you will be getting again 0. But that is also mingling with f value at 2. So you have to consider only the left hand limit for 2. Here you have to consider only the right hand limit only. So that is the only difference. Whenever the domain, the endpoints are coming like this, especially in interval like this. So what is the conclusion? Our function y equals positive square root of 4 minus x square is defined from minus 2 to plus 2. It is continuous everywhere or throughout in that interval. And the open interval minus 2 to 2, as before you can see, is going to be continuous at any point. At the endpoints minus 2 and plus 2, you have to discuss in the formal way as you have explained here. So this is how one has to train with various functions and look at what happens. Obviously, one can look at various helpful theorems to do all such things. See, for example, if you want to look at some function, see, f is a function which is known to be continuous at a point A. G is another function which is also continuous at A. Both these fellows are continuous at A. Then one can manufacture a function f plus g by defining f plus g of x is going to be f of x plus g of x, a sum function. So what is going to come out is f plus g is also going to be continuous. So continuity behaves very well with addition. That is what. It's quite simple to prove the things, because see, what does it mean? F is continuous at A. This means you find out limits of f of x as x is nearing towards A that exists. That is merging its f value at A. This is the what it means. Now g is another function. G is continuous at again the same point A. Remember that same point A. This implies limit of g of x as x is nearing towards A is g value at A. What will you do now? You have to check for f plus g. So f plus g, you have to look for limit as x is nearing towards A, but the limit theorem will help us. Limit of the sum is going to be the sum of their limits. So limit of f plus limit of g will come out. But both will immediately give f at A plus g at A, which means f plus g at A. So what happens now? So it says that limit of the function f plus g of x as x is nearing towards a is f plus g at a. Which gives the proof actually. Very similar way one can work with f minus g also. So it says that f is continuous, f plus g is also continuous at a. Just a moment thought will give you the same argument with the minus also. So you have to say that difference function is also going to be like that. In fact, fg is defined as fg of x is f of x into g of x. F and g are both continuous at a. Then fg is also going to be continuous at a. You simply write down the proof. Appropriate limit formula, you have to take it and you have to do that. That's all. So ultimately what you are going to get is they are well behaving. The continuity is well behaving with this kind of operations. So this is the whole summary. The first theorem actually gives the summary. This part is almost we have discussed. Suppose two functions are given which are continuous at a, f plus or minus g, f g, cf. Cf, this function also can be deduced from the second also. If you are taking f as the constant function c times f it means basically. And if you are looking at the last one, f by g. F by g, obviously f by g is defined whenever g at a not equal to 0. So go for the limit and work with that. The denominator vanishing things you have to avoid for the domain, then you will be again getting the continuity. So it behaves well. Continuity behaves well with some product as well as quotient appropriately. The quotient means you have to think it always g of a not equal to 0 whenever g is downstairs. But this kind of theorems are really helpful in working out problems and understanding in general. Two similar functions, you can add them, you can multiply them, you can even quotient out them, and so many things you can do like that. In fact, as we have done before, polynomial functions are good examples for continuous functions. We have almost discussed that, because any polynomial function if you are looking at, that will be in general a0 plus a1x plus a2x square plus etc an x raised to n. This function is suppose this function on the real number system, it is defined, the domain is full real numbers. For any real number you can give it for x. So if a is any real number and if you are allowing x tends to a, try to find out limit of this fellow as x tends to a. Then what you can observe that this is actually going to be p at a, which says polynomial functions are continuous on the entire real line, that is minus infinity to plus infinity. A moment's thought will reveal you that if you have a rational function, that is a p of x by q of x, if you are looking at, this is what is a rational function. Obviously on the denominator you have to work with that. It's not away from 0 and also things. So using this part, one can actually first use this part and all other ingredients, and you can actually say that rational function is also continuous throughout its domain. I mean wherever it is defined, that is what it means. So rational functions are also going to be continuous on its domain. In fact, a little bit more you can say, the better way is trigonometric functions. If you look at trigonometric functions, f of x equals sin x. Obviously this fellow is going to be continuous everywhere. Wherever it is throughout in the real numbers, it's defined, and you know the graph also. So that function is going to be continuous everywhere in the domain. Similarly for cos x. So all trigonometric functions, tan x, secant x, cosecant x and cot x, you can think about. But tan x, whenever you are looking for, see if our function is tan x, then it should be sin x by cos x. So wherever it is defined, that is more important. Cos x is making 0, it will make trouble on that. All other points it's defined. So whenever cos x is 0, that is, if you are giving pi by 2 plus n pi, for example, you won't get an evaluation there. So all other, wherever it is defined, it is going to be continuous. So tan x is going to be continuous means See, cos x is making 0. Where cos x are becoming 0? Whenever you are having pi by 2 plus n pi. All these values, n is integer. So all such points you will make the trouble. Pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, minus pi by 2, minus 3 pi by 2, all such things. You will miss it. So they are all not in the domain. So if you are looking at minus 3 pi by 2 to minus pi by 2, as well as minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, all such domain part, it is going to be continuous. So this is how the behavior of nice functions, polynomials, rational functions, now trigonometric functions, they are all going to be continuous wherever they are going to be defined well. So let us work with some more examples. Before discussing more examples, let us look at how the continuity behaves with composition of functions. What I am keeping in my mind is that suppose g is a function and which is followed by the f action, and if you are sure that g is continuous at a point a, so it will be taken to g of a, and the function is continuous means limit of g of x as x is nearing towards a will be g of a. That is what it means. And this f is also going to be continuous at g of a, then this will taken by f as f of g of a. Then what I wanted to say that is f dot g of x will take a to f of g of a. So what I wanted to say is that f dot g is also going to be continuous at a. This is going to be continuous. The composition of two functions is again going to be continuous. That's what I wanted to look at. So here to write a clear proof for this thing, see, this merely says if I am rewriting g of a is L, it says f is continuous at L, and you know that g of x, g is also continuous. So g of x as x tends to a is this limit, that is L, it is g of a coinciding with that. Then what is going to happen is this fellow, that is f dot g action, I mean f of g of x, if you are writing it down, this ideally comes with f of g of x. So this function as x nearing towards a, go for the limit, that is going to be f of L. This is what I am expecting it. So such a statement can easily be done, and the theorem says something like that, how the limit is behaving with the composite function. So as before, f is continuous at L, that L is my g, this limit value, right, as before. Then the limit of f dot g, f of g of x, right, is going to be f of L. That's what you were trying to look at before, right? That's all. So this has an inner meaning if you are analyzing it. What this says is, see, limit of f of g of x as x is nearing towards a, you are trying to say that it is f of L. What is L? L is limit of g of x, the first function, as x is nearing towards a. So it says that whenever these fellows are continuous, you are trying to apply f on this and limit process is given. So that under this continuity, what happens is f will take it inside very easily. You can push it inside. Limiting of f can be interchanged by f of the limiting. That is the easiest way of doing that. Now we are saying f is continuous through that way. So continuity can be used very smoothly like this. You can just take it inside, and interchangeability is very fine. So use that fact for a clean proof of the composition of two continuous functions is going to be continuous. So it goes along this. G is continuous at A, as we are mentioning before. a is taken to g of a, and that again taken by f. So we will be getting f of g of a, right, as the evaluation. So what we wanted to say is this function f dot g function, so f dot g of x, as x is nearing towards a, you are interested on the limit, and that is going to be this fellow. That is what you are trying to prove. Or this, formally speaking, this is f dot g at a. This is the aim of the proof. So how to go along is very clear. So limit of this fellow, I am trying to write down. So as f and g are continuous appropriate domain, so limit of f dot g of x by, I can simply write down as the limit of, this is just the rule how it works, the first line. Second line, what happens is limit of f of this action will be f of limit action. That is the previous theorem guarantees. So you'll be getting like this. But limit of g of x as x is nearing towards a must be g of a, because the continuity, g is continuous, right? So that continue, so both the continuities you have to use it. To take the limit inside, f is continuous. The next process, this evaluation g of a, g must be continuous. Then this is just formally writing f of g of a. So that is nothing other than that f dot g at a. This is the formal proof. So composite of two continuous functions is again going to be continuous. That's a very useful tool whenever you are attacking very complex functions using like this. So for example, we will try some of them. Okay, so let us look at the following exercise. One can even look at, yeah, you'll see this first example. See, it has two parts. The problem has two parts. First, you are supposed to do it, h of x is given as mod x. That function you are asked to prove that it is continuous everywhere. This is the first part. So to do that, h of x is given to be modulus of x. Where it is defined? It is defined for every real number, right? So mod function, we know the graph of also. Mod function will look like this. It is continuous everywhere. That is we are trying to prove. The better way of looking is try to look at the definition of mod x. Mod x can be defined in many ways. Obviously, we have a piecewise definition. Otherwise, a very useful one is there, positive square root of x square. We can define like that. If you are defining mod x as positive square root of x square, right, then you can observe something. Just you have seen something. Composition of two continuous functions is again continuous. So how will you think the right hand side as a composition? See, first you take x, allow it to go to x square, this inner part will come. From there, you again work with some other function which take care of positive square root. So going the square function, then taking the square root function. So one can try squaring the function, can be taken as a g, this fellow can be taken as an f. Then ideally you are working with f dot g, right? So now discuss what's happening. If g is the function which takes x going to x square, so g of x is given to be x square. Obviously, it is defined and continuous everywhere. It's a polynomial function. So this is continuous in the entire real line, this part. Now, what about the second function, positive square root? See, while doing g, you will be landing on 0 infinity only, right? The entire real line, you are starting with g. once action is taken, then you will be getting the range 0 to infinity only. On that domain, taking square root is again a continuous function. So this part is also continuous. So which makes the above theorem will give the freedom to say that f dot g is going to be continuous. So first function you take like this, second function you taking the square root, that is something like f of y, you are writing it the appropriate domain as positive square root of y. So the composition makes you that to say that this function is continuous throughout its domain. But that is one part. Second part actually asked you to look at, to evaluate a limit. So limit of some inner things, that is minus x square minus x plus 2 by x plus 1. This part is given. So how what do you know? From the a part, you have to deduce it. So a part is giving taking modulus is a continuous function. Absolute value function is a continuous function. That we can use it well. See, this is the way it goes. Absolute value function is continuous. So limit of this fellow you start with. So the first step, limit of taking absolute value of the limit, that interchange will occur. The next step, what happens? Just factorize it in the numerator and try to see that it is minus 1, because x minus 1 goes off as x is not equal to 1. Then this limit process is simply making it minus 1 into s plus 2. So just to give the evaluation, that is constant function in a polynomial. So you will be getting simply modulus of minus 3 and equal to 3. So evaluation can be done through this way. So you are using modulus function is continuous and all other parts of the things. So many other problems one can look at. Another example is, obviously we are interested in the greatest integer function we have discussed. So the greatest integer function, it's a step function like that. From the graph itself, it is clear that at all integer points, you are going to lose your continuity. See, look at, for example, at 1, what happens? X equals 1, you try to find out the limit of the function from left and right. So this function, if I am writing this value as f of x, from the left, if you are approaching towards 1, right, you will be getting the limit as 0. From the right, if you are coming up, you will be getting the limit as 1. So it differs. Limit does not exist at 1. But you can simply say that the right side limit, if you are looking at, the continuity occurs, because if you are approaching 1 from the right, evaluation is also at 1, you are getting the evaluation as 1. So the function is going to be right continuous but not left continuous. Whenever you are inside the point in the domain, the interior fellow like this comes, from both sides you should have continuity. Left continuity as well as right continuity only will ensure continuity there. So you will miss the continuity at 1. Very similar thing will happen at all integers, 2, 3, 4, everywhere, minus 2, everywhere. So all integer evaluations you will miss the continuity. Function is discontinuous. All other parts you will get obviously the continuous part, because see, for example, 2.5, if you are looking at, this is the graph. So the graph, see actually that a constant function at this level. If you are approaching 2.5 from right or left, you'll be moving around this just as a constant function is going to be continuous. So such examples will nourish us to master the continuity and different kinds of discontinuities too. Many good examples and exercises are supplied in the referred text. One can look at even graphically some exercises. See, in the domain of the first exercise, more or less it seems to be continuous. So just verify it. But in the second one, concentrate on minus 1 and what it happens. It's not defined there. And the third from the graph, it is clear that -1 again, it's troublesome. Not only at -1, here also the points making some trouble. So all such things one can sit and work with. More exercises one can do. So I'm just listing the exercises. Some graphical way which you have discussed or similar type. And obviously more nice problems like 7 to 26 also one can try. So as many problems we are trying to look at and master the process of determining continuity as well as discontinuities.